First thing we're going to think about when we think about the documentation systems for a project, just like first thing we think about for the contracts, first thing we think about for the relationships, first thing we think about for everything is really going to be the project delivery, because that's going to be the thing that drives our systems of documentation, both in terms of what's being drawn and documented and what is going to be the sort of system for communication for that and like when it's going to happen. So we're talking about the timing, like when do we do the project documentation? Well, if it's design, bid, build, you know, you've got that full-on design process, then you have the bid, and then you have the construction process. So there's the documentation is really aiming towards that bidding moment. But if we're talking about design, build, the documentation is really about the program and about those initial design concepts, and then all the documentation after that is really focused on the construction process. It's really trying to figure out how to make that happen, as well as getting the permits and things, but it's about that very specific kind of construction documentation that's in-house to that design builder. And you know, the various other ones, of fast track, we have these sort of sliding things. So the timing is totally dependent on the project delivery, and that would impact, well, who's in control? Right? Interesting thing is, like in the design, bid, build, the architect is in control of the project until the bidding is done, and then there's a bidder chosen, and now the contractor is in control. What about CM? With a CM, we have a situation where we have the architects are designing to a schematic design point, and then from there, it's really under the CM control. The architects are still doing the drawings and still working, but the CM is actually, the construction manager is actually making the decisions about which the architects are going to be meeting, because the CM is now in control of the dollar, right? And the dollar is going to control the project. So you see very quickly how control and timing get impacted by the project delivery. So it all ends up being about this idea of how detailed, who needs to know, when do those people need to know, and what their expectations are. And that's one of the things that we've been talking about and we'll talk more about as we go along.